once again, back onto Delta Green, and I did my usual, which is I talked that much about something I really like that... I'll start again. There we go. Greens YouTube, we're back onto Delta Green again, and as I've done my usual, I've got talking about something I was really passionate about, and I never actually got to talk about what I was supposed to talk about. So, while I have already covered the history of the publication to some degree, and also the game world this is setting, I haven't actually talked about what's in the book. So I'm going to take a leaf out of Tetsubo's book, and I'm going to go through the contents with you. So, as you would imagine, with a book like this, you've got the history, which is what I've been yammering about for the past 8 minutes. You've also got information about Delta Green and Majestic 12, along with stats and information and timelines for organisations, so you can do a pre-modern day adventure if you want to, based within that defined history. There's also something called, I'm probably going to butcher this name, the Karotechia, which is basically the remnants of the Third Reich. Now, there has always been this popular notion that Hitler had a division based on the idea of bringing the occult into their war effort, and there is also that theory that Hitler was a big occultist, which isn't too unfeasible idea. Occultism was very popular back then, although there is, to my knowledge, no real clarable evidence to support this. There is plenty of tenuable evidence to keep the conspiracy theorists going for years. The idea is that what's left over of that division, of the paranormal division as it were, survived, went to South America after the war, and has thrived ever since. Not thrived to the point where it's going to take over the world or anything, but it's still around. It's run by, you know, neo-Nazis and things like that. And basically, there is, as I've said many a time before, beating up Nazis is a completely guilt-free trip. There is nothing bad about doing that whatsoever. So they're a good protagonist to use. No, antagonist, not protagonist. They're a good antagonist to use against Delta Green and your agents. You've also got Saucer Watch as well, which is a group of people who watch for saucers. Unlike most other groups that operate within this remit, they know too much, and the chapter deals with what they do about that. You've also got a very small chapter about the Fate. Now, the Fate will be discussed in much greater detail later on in the other books, but to give you a rough idea, the Fate appears to be a occult group based in this underground, this I'll start again. The Fate appear to be this cult underground below a nightclub called Club Apocalypse, I believe, and the idea is that they don't affiliate themselves to any one particular deity within the mythos, but they do use the magic from the mythos and use the creatures from the mythos to maintain their power and to reinforce it into, and basically go up and in the world. And it's a great, because there's a possibility you could use these as allies as well as villains. So there's a great possibility of using these in your game once you've got over that UFO theme, basically, and you want to go back into deep Lovecraftian mythosy stuff. And then you've got the appendices. Now, the appendices for any Delta Green book are always the best bit, in my honest opinion, and I'll quickly go through what's in here with you. This takes up about half the book, so this is the most hefty, in my opinion, of the appendices. It's not the best one. The best one's in Countdown, but I'll get to that after we've got to the Countdown book. So you've got your bibliographies, so if you want to know what people's mindsets were back when they wrote this in 1997, it'll give you a list of all the movies and books they read. You've got the information about security clearance. You've got a couple of new mythosy tomes, modern day mythosy tomes. You've also got adventures. There are 3 adventures in here. The first one, Puppet Shows and Shadow Plays, is an introductory adventure which gives you a small sampling of mythosy stuff to basically get you into Delta Green, because unlike Majestic 12, who are of the impression that there is only one overall set of things going on out there, Delta Green have got a much better understanding of what's going on, and they do expect that beyond the deep ones that they did encounter back in 1928, there are many other things out there, and this is one of them, and it's a very entertaining story. Could it be presented better? In my opinion, it could be. It's very timeliney. It does make it open-ended as an adventure, but it also means that there is that possibility you're waiting for things to happen, because there are clues that will pop up at predetermined intervals, which you could adjust as a keeper, but there is no way of speeding that process up. You venture, there is no way a group of agents could figure it out and go and find these clues, because they are quite literally buried. You've also got information about creating investigators, because most Delta Green people are official investigators for their own legal organisations like the CIA or the FBI or something like that. So their rules are slightly different to what is in the Call of Cthulhu book, but not massively so. There's not a huge difference, but there is plenty to go with. There's also information about the federal agencies that existed back in 1990, although with it being a 1990 thing, a lot of this has changed since September the 11th. There's also new skills, new spells, and rules for modern day firearms, which is immensely useful. Now, this is a hardback. This is one of the limited edition reprints they did back in 2007. As you will see, right there, there is a D20 symbol. That was because back when Call of Cthulhu got the rights from Chaosium to do a D20 version of Call of Cthulhu, there was a big surge, as it were, in popularity for Call of Cthulhu again, because it had been brushed with the magic touch of D20, and as such a lot of Chaosium products that came out that year had the D20 dual stats in them, so you had the BRP and the D20 stats at the same time, and this is one example of it. Although it took that long for it to get published, by the time it did come out, the D20 buzz had died down somewhat, and a lot of people still try and get the original softback version, published back in 1997, which is exactly the same as this. The manuscript's exactly the same, the pictures are the same, everything's the same, apart from the fact that the D20 stat blocks, which accompany all the regular stat blocks, are missing. Would I want to get it? I would like to get my hands on the original copy. I'm prepared to pay massive amounts of money for it. The answer is no, because what I need is in here. So, sorry to have to stretch my videos out over multiple parts. I did promise 4 parts, and this is going to make it at the very least 5 parts. So, thank you for your time, guys.